Hi, Everett.
Hey.
Welcome to the ARW discussion, folks.
Hey, everybody.
I see we've got Muskeg Smith, JC Machine Shop, Frank Ward, James P., and Digger Up, and David Fairbanks all viewing right now already and making comments. So that's good. We got Rusty Knox out there. All right. So people kept asking me, what are we going to talk about this time? And one of the things we're going to talk about is channel content. Me and Everett were kind of comparing analytics, and we discovered, of course, that we got more views off of stuff that didn't have anything to do with machine shop. I mean, I got more views off of rifle sights and red dots, and he got more views, I believe, off of automotive repairs and such. Yeah. And so maybe we're in the wrong line.
Could be.
Well, I tell you, people are screaming for those conduit bending videos that I do. Hey, Rusty, how you doing? We slammed that conduit bending video together. I probably got, it was just over the course of the day. And this kid that was working with me, his name's Mike, he said, hey, this is great content. Let me shoot it. I go, no, you need to get back to work. Shoot it. I go, okay, we'll shoot it. So, you know, I was paying him, but he was my cameraman, and we just kind of shot some of the conduit bending. And he said, well, do you need to explain what you're doing? So I just went through the full thing, and that video just exploded. And that's not my normal content, but it was just over the course of a day. Hey, Randy Richard, how you doing?
Hey, Randy.
Randy.
Hey, Randy.
And
Randy.
There's videos that get popular and you don't even know why. You just shoot the dumbest things, and then all of a sudden it blows up. And then there's other times it'll take a week to shoot a video of something I'm doing, and you got all this time into it, and, and you got all this editing into it because you got so much video to try to piece together, and then nothing, So you never know.
Yeah.
Wow.
I posted a short one yesterday because I thought maybe the shorter videos would be the way to go. Worst one I posted in a year. Got 2 thumbs down on it. It sucks.
Well, people take thumbs down personally. You really shouldn't, because people.
It's a comment.
You never know where the thumbs down are coming from, and they're usually people that are searching for a very specific thing. Your title. I'm not saying it's misleading, but maybe they misunderstood what your title was. They zoom in on it. They start watching and go, oh, this is not what I'm looking for.
Right.
And they give you a thumbs down. You can't take those personal.
They count just as much on the analytics as thumbs up.
Meant somebody came by, even if they're leaving graffiti.
Yeah, they just look for the pluses and the minuses,
Yeah.
I get thumbs down on almost every single video I do. Just can't care.
Yeah.
It's funny, on this one, I got right away early in the first hour or so, got like 4 of those solicitation type comments that got deleted right away by YouTube, but a whole bunch of them came through. And that's rare. I don't usually get that.
Well, I went for a personal record. I went on one of my weekly update videos or a grind episode, and I sat there in front of the camera. I said, I'm going for a personal best for thumbs down. Give me a thumbs down. I wanted to see what it would do.
Okay.
And I was just pushing the people to give me a thumbs down. Hey, Randy, you went and changed your shirt or something.
At least he's right side up now.
That's an improvement. There he is.
What, you guys talking about me?
Yeah.
We are now.
Yeah. Oh, I was having a terrible time. Wrong connection going.
Yeah, sometimes you have to reboot and start over again.
Well, yeah, it was just not working.
Yeah. Hey, Maddie, how's that engine coming along?
There it is there, mate.
All right, so
Cool.
I was going to check with you last time, but you had a poor connection. So
Yeah, mate, yeah.
do you need any valves for that engine?
Yeah, I got to make the valves for it. Yep.
Okay, well, I have one here that if you need it, it might work for you.
I just have to regrind it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you may have to just adjust a few things to get it to fit.
Yeah, that'll work.
That looks like my paper towel holder in my garage. Buddy of mine's a millwright, works on gas compressor engines. He gave me one for a paper towel holder.
I have no idea what that came off of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My buddy said it was a big Waukesha or something.
Here's
like
the
that.
other one.
Randy's going
there's
too.
the exhaust valve.
Hey, there's where your other valve went.
Intake and exhaust, straight up.
You're all set.
Actually, that reminds me, I was doing this little aircraft engine, and a lot of people said you can't use wood screws to hold that onto the bulkhead of the aircraft. And they said you got to use hex-headed bolts and proper nuts and that sort of thing. And I thought, you know what? I've actually got some aircraft bolts. They're probably stainless or titanium or something like that. I thought, you know what? I'm actually going to make the bolts out of an aircraft bolt. So there you go, Matty. You can make a valve out of a valve.
There you go.
Very good point.
Yeah, it probably only cost
Should be
me
able to
like
get about
$200 to mail it to you.
Yeah.
As long as it's not sodium filled, you got it made.
Yeah.
Did they actually, what does the sodium achieve inside those things?
It's for heat transfer.
Heat transfer, yeah.
What was the sodium? Sodium is salt. Is that all
Yeah.
it is?
Yeah.
Some kind of salt solution?
Yeah.
Is it liquid?
It
yeah,
turns to
it's-
liquid when you get up to temperature.
Yeah.
What does it
It
got?
gets
Some
hot,
kind
it
of
melts.
does that kind of solution have a better wetting effect than like coolant or something?
It's pure sodium.
Yeah,
And it just sucks the heat away from the seat.
yeah, it works like
Also
a
heat away.
heat pipe. So it's doing
Yeah,
a heat exchange.
we always bought sodium filled valves for the race cars, and we never knew why we were doing it. We
They'll
just knew we didn't
explode.
burn up valves anymore.
They'll
Some-
blow the heads right off of them in certain
Yeah.
conditions.
Some nuclear power plants, the heat exchange medium between the reactor and another heat exchanger to create steam, they use liquid sodium as the heat exchange medium.
So that's
I'm
just got a
guessing
better
that
wetting
liquid-
effect against the metal.
I think also it doesn't
Dennis
boil,
Nolan, hello,
so it won't
Dennis.
produce
It-
pressure.
It doesn't become radioactive.
It does not.
It does not become
Oh, okay.
radioactive. So the outside heat exchanger out of the containment is not radioactive. And that way you're not making radioactive steam. Because steam can become radioactive. So
How'd you get so smart, Randy?
I minored in nuclear engineering in college.
I would say, how many reactor powered boats have you been on?
None.
Exxon
Yeah, but
doesn't buy nuclear boats.
He's got that nuclear powered table saw now.
Yeah. But I was licensed. I could have worked on a nuclear ship.
Okay.
So yeah.
That is a nice looking table saw.
Yeah, I just did the final filming today, running it, cutting wood and everything. It's actually works really nice. I don't want to let it go now.
I don't blame you.
But yeah, it looks good and runs good. So
Hey, let's hear it from the viewers. I was thinking of making coffee cups for Black Friday, whatever, or Christmas. How many people would want that on a coffee cup?
mine's already black.
Let's hear it from the viewers. If you want that on a coffee cup, I'll get some made.
There you
Give
go.
us a zoom in there, Harold.
Harold's got to do that. I
On
can't do it.
Randy,
No, on Stan.
Yeah.
on Stan. I gotta find Stan now.
I'm top right.
There he
There you
is.
go.
There we go.
Now, if I put that on a white coffee cup, I think it would look pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
Look awesome. Awesome.
I like it. I'm
I'm
in.
in for one of those.
Yeah.
All right.
That would
well,
be
I'll
nice.
try to get a head count and get an idea how many coffee cups I need to have made.
I have a machinist buddy. I'd love to give that for Christmas.
Well, the CNC guys, they get a little bent about it, but
Yeah.
I don't. It's all in good fun.
Well, he runs a massive boring mill, like a horizontal boring mill. It's got both manual and CNC parts to it. So yeah, he'd get a kick out of it.
Well, I've had people that I know have CNCs buy them, and I have the shirts at least. And then I've had people that are just hardcore manual guys that buy them. So they appeal to everybody. It's not like we're just poking fun. That's all.
They're just
one
fun.
of John's pioneers.
Put me down for 2.
Yeah, put me down for one.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, put me down.
Well, I got to start a
Yeah.
tally now.
Yeah.
Get the abacus out.
See what the people watching say.
Hey, thank you, JC Machine Shop there for the comment.
MKE says coffee cups and stickers. Yeah, I never did any stickers that way either.
Oh yeah, stickers.
You know.
Absolutely. That'd make great stickers. I've been watching people doing lost. I've been watching people doing lost PLA and lost foam casting, and there's a rather large group of them, and I think they're all in the same offline forum. You know, right? Online forum. But it's kind of a closed society as far as I can tell, because there's no place to sign up for a new user, you know, and these guys don't have any way to contact them on their videos, but they do some really great casting. I don't know if y'all been watching them or not. It's amazing. I saw one guy cast a little engine block, and it looked just like an engine block, you know. He rolled it over and got the main bearing journals and all that stuff in it.
Yeah, for small parts, you know, the lost wax casting, where they can make 100 of them in a, you know, in one unit, you know,
Yeah.
have all the parts and then they certificate cast them, you know, it's spinning, and they pour in the hot metal and all that, and they lose all the wax, but they get 100 parts at once, you know, all these little parts especially. That's pretty popular method, I guess.
They do a lot of that in model.
Yeah,
So on.
especially for model stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to try to do some of that as soon as I can get all the information collected. I don't know what kind of sand they're using. Apparently, they use it dry, most of them, except for one guy. One guy's making it with green sand. He puts his mold in the green sand, and it's really confused for me right now. Just trying to locate somebody that knows about it. You guys know anybody doing that?
I think I watched that same video that you're talking about.
No,
The guy did a cylinder with cooling fins all the way around.
Yes. I was especially trying to get hold of him, but he didn't have any way to contact him.
Okay, so did you leave a comment on this video?
I left a comment on his video with my email, hoping he'd contact me, but no luck.
Yeah, I was really impressed with that. The level of detail in that casting was fantastic, and I think it just used dry sand.
Yeah, I'd like to get him on here, you know.
Yeah.
Now, you 3D printing guys, is there a filament that you can use that's almost like a wax that would melt away for casting? Or
Well, guys
Yeah,
do
There
that.
is.
A
Yeah.
lot of them
They
use
do.
PLA and they just burn it out.
Right. Yeah.
They get that plaster that the jewelers use, and they make the 3D print PLA, and they put it down in that plaster, and then they stick it in their furnace and burn out all of the PLA.
Well,
And
do they use a real low density as far as the fill density is really low? Because it doesn't need a lot of structural strength.
No, you just
Yeah.
got to mold. You just got to create the mold out of the factory. It's like cement almost. You put around it, or plaster.
Well, yeah, but I would say when you do it as a lost, you're going to lose it. It's going to melt away. So you don't want a lot of material in there to melt away.
Right.
You know,
And
so
I guess there's some
Yeah.
residue when you melt that away. You have to create maybe a
A drain.
reservoir down at the bottom where the
Yeah.
plastic can go.
right.
No,
some
actually,
some
it
of them
just
you have.
basically it just
Oh.
burns up. So that you got to
Oh.
do it at a specific heat cycle. So it starts off low, and then it sort of ramps up, and when it gets really hot, it just vaporizes and burns away. So all it's left
like I
behind is like a soot.
Now, what kind of detail can you get out of that PLA? Is it any good?
It is good, but you've got to have like the plaster has to be able to be like get rid of all the air. So a lot of the time the detail is actually spoiled because you've got air bubbles sticking to the PLA.
Right.
So these guys, they've got to use vibrators and vacuums and all sorts of stuff. So there's the actual amount of equipment you need to do it is fairly high. And I think that's what turns me off. I haven't tried it, but you need a lot of gear.
I've seen guys use vibratory methods to pop the air bubbles, and I've seen them put them in a vacuum chamber, both to degas them.
You can do both.
I mean, the lost wax is interesting to me, and it'd be cool if you could print your own patterns on a 3D printer.
Yeah,
There is a guy who's been doing it for a long time. I think his channel name is Veg Oil Guy, and I've watched his videos really early on, and you can see how he's perfected the technique as he's gone along. So if you look at his first videos, a lot of them are rubbish. The parts he's making are got defects and there's problems, and then you look at the latest ones he's doing, they're absolutely fantastic. So he's learned by trial and error, and probably from watching other people as well. But his stuff is very good.
This guy, the one you were referring to there, once he's got his PLA model made, he paints it with mud, like you use for sheetrock, and once that's dried off, he puts it in the sand. But I don't know, it looks like pretty coarse sand. I'm not sure. I know my green sand is just like flour when it's dry. It's really soft. I don't think that would do for unless it had water in it.
The ones that I've seen done just use like the playground sand that you get from Home Depot in a bag, or like sandblasting sand. It was nothing special.
Yeah, that's the thing. It looks coarse, like that. Like you say, like the playground sand.
Right.
But I would like a guy that's done it just to sit down and write me out a list of what he uses exactly, and save me about 5 years of learning. It'd be easier
Harold,
for me.
You've joined the modern age, and you've become instant gratification guy.
Yeah.
I want it now.
Yeah.
I want it now. Just
want
give me the answer.
Yeah. Well, everybody who watches videos, that's what they want.
Mhm.
I get complaints all the time. It's like, oh, why don't you show that in 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Mhm.
We have to listen to you talk for 10 minutes before you give us the answer.
It's like all they want is just to see it. They don't even want to hear you say anything about what you're showing.
I've had comments like that.
I don't care. I'm gonna do what I want to do anyway.
Give me a thumbs down, groovy.
Yeah, fine.
If you have too many interests, though, you don't, and you're 76 years old, you don't have time to learn a lot of it the hard way. I mean, I got too many hobbies; they're too expensive, and my firearms hobby, that's really expensive. I use up, hundreds of dollars of ammo every month. And
That's just like 10 minutes.
Yeah, it is.
You just budget that as cost of living, man. Because you're actually living.
Yeah, it is amazing. And then there's maintenance on your firearms too. Things break and wear out after a few thousand rounds. I think I've got one pistol I've had 100,000 rounds through.
Cool.
So
Oh, wow.
they last good, I think.
He is in a rubber room, Dennis. He's actually wearing a straitjacket. His arms are behind his back. You can't see that.
I think he's got one eye on the ball game right now.
There's no ball game yet.
They haven't kicked off yet?
Is there a football game?
Yeah. Well, my wife and
Niners
her
play at
sister
one.
went to the game, and I told them, well, at least you're going to get to see one good team.
Is it a home
I'm
game?
going to have to run, boys, for
Cardinals
10
today.
minutes.
Yeah, it's home game. They're playing the Cardinals, so that's what I said. You get to see at least one good team.
Sorry, what was that, Maddie?
I just got to run, boys, for 10 minutes. Got to run the young fella to work, so and I'll be back.
Yeah, see you in a few.
Back in a minute.
Doing dad stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, if you guys do know someone that's involved in the lost foam casting or lost PLA casting, try and talk him into contacting me. So
Well, I was over at the 3D printing store in St. Albert, which is nearby here, poking at the guy there, asking a few questions and stuff, and he was talking about some new filament that came out. I'll bug him and see if I can get the name of it that he was talking about. So, yeah, I just got to get a hold of him first.
well, you know, I've been using some 3D printed patterns, and Mr. Pete has, and I went ahead and started using them just like they are, because he said that the roughness on them doesn't really matter. You know, the little ridges. And he's right. It really doesn't make any difference.
Well, I would think that, you know, the size of the grains of sand that you use, if the grains of sand are small enough, then those ridges might show up. But if they're big enough, it all evens out. And they don't drop into the small ridges on the print.
These guys have all.
What temperature does your PLA melt and get destroyed?
It becomes liquid at about 185 degrees centigrade, but you actually want it to, like, it's got to burn, it's got to vaporize out, so
you
you got
gotta
to heat
burn
it to a
it.
much higher.
Yeah.
But
See,
that,
now, you know,
that's gonna
PLA.
stay.
To me, I don't know why people are using PLA, but because it melts at somewhat lower temperature than ABS and a few of the others. But PLA also has a tendency to absorb more moisture than the others. Just sitting out, it absorbs moisture. You know, when you print it and all that, that can really cause problems in the printing. But I hate PLA, using PLA myself. But see, I thought you had to have a drain. You had to have some place for that melted plastic to go.
You burn it out, it just vaporizes,
Well,
turns to
you
gas.
sure it all burns? It takes a lot of heat to burn it up. Otherwise, you end up with a lot of carbon material.
Yeah, you're gonna have some kind of ash or something down there.
Well, you don't have ash. You end up with a gooey, hard carbon material. Yeah, I know the metal's hot. Yeah, it's you know, whatever you're going to use, was it you know, it's going to be 1,000 degrees or something. But you know, but still, there's a lot of material to go away. You got to have either a lot of gas to get rid of, or you have a melted product to get rid of. That's why I'm concerned. Like, how dense do you print it? Do you print it so that the wall thicknesses are really thin, and you print it so there's low density, you know, in the filled areas inside the print? So you want to reduce the amount of mass that you're going to have to get rid of.
All the processes that I've seen when you're doing lost PLA, you don't use green sand or dry sand. So it's always done in refractory plaster. And you have to actually burn out the PLA before you put the hot metal into the mold.
So the plaster stands up to that.
How strong is that plaster after it's cured? Is it hard to chip away?
Well, there's no mechanical load on it. So when you're pouring in the hot metal, it's just flowing into the void.
Right.
So, and it cures. So when you do the last burnout cycle, you're actually curing the plaster. So it's not like stone, but it's quite dense.
It's not like Mizzou.
Strong. Sorry?
It's not like Mizzou, the castable refractory. That stuff dries like cement.
So Mark, are you saying you burn out the plastic before you pour the metal in?
That's it. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I mean. To me, it'd be easier to put a hole in the bottom and have it drain out.
You do, like they invert it in the furnace, so the place where you would normally pour the metal in is down underneath.
The sprue,
and then you go through this particular heat cycle. So the first cycle is sort of raise the temperature of the plaster so it doesn't crack, because you've got a lot of moisture in the plaster. So you've got to dry the plaster up, and then you raise the heat cycle again, and that starts to liquefy the PLA, and it'll start to drain out. And then the third level actually carbonizes it, just turns it into a gas.
Yeah, but it's only going to carbonize a very small amount that that didn't drain out, right? There's a small amount left over, I guess.
There's probably like a layer of soot against the plaster, but I think it's so thin it doesn't matter.
Okay, right. Okay, so you do get rid of the plastic in a liquid form prior to putting in the metal. Okay.
That's it.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, the reason I'm asking so much
Yeah.
about it,
Okay.
some of you guys know that this is a ball latch,
Yeah.
also known as a slam latch. Where the heck
Mhm.
am I?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, let
Go
me
left to
find-
go right.
Yeah, it's all backwards.
Yeah.
This is a slam latch, a marine type slam latch, and there's 2 balls and 2 springs in here with set screws on top and bottom. And I'm looking to make a giant version of this, non-sparking, all aluminum or brass parts for spray booths for explosion latches. Most spray booths and ovens have to have doors that if there's an explosion inside, they just blow open. No positive latching devices at all. So these little latches are okay. And I'm kind of thinking a giant version of these would be cool, but there's nothing commercially available. So I was thinking of casting up that and that. These are an aluminum extrusion here.
Yeah, but you're going to end up having to machine it anyway.
What's that?
Are you still planning on machining parts of the
Yeah,
surface?
I'll still do some machining.
Right. But
Well, I got to
minimal.
do the spring seats and the ball seats and stuff.
Yeah.
And then thread for the set screws for the springs.
Yeah.
But I gotta use either brass balls or aluminum balls. It can't, when it strikes, it can't spark. It's got to be non-sparking.
Yeah.
How big is giant?
Oh,
saying
probably
giant.
3 to 4 times this size. I want about a 300-pound holding force,
What, 3/4 inch ball or something?
maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
These are maybe 1/4 inch balls in there.
Is the door going to be opened and closed on a regular basis anyway?
Yes. Well, that's the beauty. You adjust the spring tension with those 2 set screws,
Oh, yeah.
so you can get a good door feel. There's door seals where you have to maintain a seal on the door, but if anything bad happens, the door just blows open. And
You
it
said
looks
300 pound. That means there's some big guys working there that they can open and close the door. Or?
well, those are going to be the product doors. Those are going to be the product doors, and they've been using bricks and latches, but they just lost their FM license and they lost their UL label. So they're not, these agencies are not accepting the bricks and latches anymore that we've been used to use.
That looks
type of
more like a
testing do
job
you
for
have to go
fake
through?
machining.
For who?
For fake machining.
Well, I mean, you could maybe machine the whole thing out of a solid bar, but it'd be cool if it was a investment type casting.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
casting,
Dan, do you have to go through
You know,
testing?
you need 2 different sizes. You need big ones for the big product doors. You need smaller ones for the man doors. The man doors only have they adjust between 65 and 100 pounds of force, and the product doors adjust from 100 to 300 pounds of force.
If you build that product, Stan, do you have to take it to an outside agency for testing? and
Yeah,
approvals?
I've got a UL guy that can UL it. I don't have to mess with it.
Instead of using balls, have you thought about potentially using rollers, like a Delrin roller on either side?
Well, the thing about this is that this striker and this piece that goes into it can approach from any angle
Yeah,
because
that's
of the
right.
balls, so it doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily need the rollers.
It's not straight in.
Yeah,
It's
fair
just
enough.
it's a friction type latch, and it's pretty universal. But I just want it, and I'm going to make the brackets a little different so they work well on doors that close flush to each other. You know, the jamb and the door when it's in the closed position, they're flush. You know, these are kind of like for a cabinet in a boat, you know, in the galley or something.
How many do you need of those? 100?
Well, I mean, I have the opportunity. I've got contacts at a lot of different spray booth companies, and these would go out with their units.
Yeah.
But they're getting to where they're scrambling now. They can't use the bricks and slam latches anymore.
I out of square stock, I think you could CNC those pretty fast.
I was just going to say
Let me
that.
tell you, for all the casting work and all that, I think you could CNC them.
I just want to make a prototype, but with a casting, we could put, a big oval that said Barzy on it. It'd be cool. Barzy latch.
It could be engraved on there.
You're going to have to go see one of
I
those.
hate to say it, it'd be
guys.
faster with a CNC thing.
Yeah.
Stan,
I know a guy that
more
puts his
durable to
logo
use
on
than
the stuff.
stainless.
Well, the Brixtons are a cast. They're a cast iron body. They make a cast iron body and they make an aluminum body unit. And the aluminums are powder coated. The cast irons hold up good. But they are subject to sparks. The cast iron are subject to sparks only when the latch fails. They've got brass rollers and strikers in them, but if the latch has a mechanical failure, it can strike, and that's what UL just picked up on, and they dropped their UL license.
Well, it seems like the body that holds the ball could be cast iron, and then the piece that comes in, the mating piece that comes in from the door, could be a brass item, and then it wouldn't spark.
Right.
And then you wouldn't have a spark if there was.
Well, the Brixton still had a steel spring and a rod, and the Brixton's a little different design. Are you familiar with a Brixton latch?
No, but I'm just saying the material wise, and
Right.
the spring was probably hidden out of the way.
Yeah. Well, it was a Brixton latch that is lubricated and functioning properly is brass on brass contact. But as soon as it fails, it's steel on cast iron contact.
So you couldn't use something like Delrin?
I'm not looking to reinvent a Brixton latch. I'll get dinged for patent
Oh,
infringement
oh,
probably.
yeah,
No,
right.
I like the ball latches. They're nicely. They got a nice adjustment range, and if I size them properly, they'll work well.
I think you can get actually brass springs, believe it or not.
Maybe.
I think you can.
They don't sound like they'd last long.
Well, then you got to worry about how they have the longevity, because they're on a man door. They're open, close, open, close, open, close.
Yeah, but I still think you can get brass springs.
Yeah.
I worked on some explosion-proof stuff in my time, and I swear there were in some things. I swear they had brass springs in them. But
I've still got all my explosion-proof tools. I got wrenches, hammers. I got a solid brass crescent wrench. I got all kinds of
beryllium
screwdrivers. Those screwdrivers aren't worth a shit.
Yeah.
And you pay a fortune for them. The ends of the screwdrivers are all twisted.
We had beryllium hammers. Then they said, "Oh, that's going to kill you." We go,
Yep.
"No, it's not. I'm not going to chew on it." They wanted us to get rid of them all. And we said, "No, we're not."
Not for what you paid for them. You paid for your explosion-proof tools. You paid a lot of money for those.
We had all sorts of stuff. Once we had nerded all the ships, then the worries kind of subsided a lot. So.
It sounds like something that would cause us cancer in California.
Yeah, only here though. It doesn't cause cancer anywhere else.
That's right.
Yeah, we need you guys to watch out for us.
I opened the.
There. Somebody just said their brass springs are used for locks all the time. Somebody just said that. John Momar. See?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why I said I think you can get brass springs. They'd stand up to opening and closing. They're not going to wear out.
Okay. There's such a thing as rubber springs. Yeah, the polyurethane springs.
Yeah, you could use polyurethane. Yeah.
We use those. I make die strippers all the time out of urethane spring or urethane stock.
Right. Yeah, you could do that.
It sounds workable.
I got a guy right here in Rancho that's got an old punch press. He's got some really weird dies, and he can't get the strippers for it. You put them over the dies, and the urethane actually pushes the sheet metal off of the male die. So I have to make his die strippers for him every few months.
Wow. He must do a lot of work.
Me?
No,
he does. Yeah. Well, after like 10,000 cycles, the urethane won't bounce back, and he just has to replace the stripper.
Is there a lot of heat involved?
No, it's just a rotary punch press. He's just punching holes, but he's got some really weird dies. It's some German machine, and usually you can buy off the shelf either stripping springs or stripping the rubber ones that push the sheet metal off of the die. But they just jam up on the die and stay there. I just make them out of urethane. We figured out his durometer of his old ones, and I matched the durometer, and mine work as good as his old ones. They last just as long, about 10,000 cycles.
Wow. I would guess that maybe you ought to get started on it.
What's that?
I said, I guess you ought to get started on your prototype.
I should, yeah. I mean, I got a lot of irons in the fire right now. That's just in my head right now.
Yeah.
There's an issue at the market right now for these door latches to hold these things closed. Until there's an alternative out there, they're not going to get it. The inspectors are probably going to let it fly until something is available, but I don't think anything's available yet.
When I worked in the EO polluting chemical plants and refineries, they had these big reciprocating compressors. They were 2-stroke engines and ran on natural gas. They were big as a house, so to speak. The cylinders were like 16-inch bore, and they had explosion plates on the crankcase because, they're 2-cycle. And so the gas is going through the crankcase up into feed the cylinders. And I remember one guy went out there one day to crank them up, and you're supposed to crank them over with just air, no gas on it, purge them out, get the crankcase clean. This guy went out there and he would just throw it on the ignition switch, throw the air and gas to it, and you hear boom, boom. And I went out there to look, and he had blown all those explosion plates clean off the crankcase. There was a piece that said Worthington that had hit an I-beam and landed right back beside where he was standing. I mean, this piece was about that thick, cast iron, and he wasn't anywhere to be found. So I started looking for him. He had a change house across the street, and I went over there and went in. He's sitting there smoking a cigarette, and I said, "Hey," did you blow up that compressor? He says, "Yeah." I said, "I bet that scared you." "Oh, no, it didn't bother me a bit." And I thought, "Yeah, let's see your pants."
Actually, I worked at a furniture factory. When I was teaching, we used to have to go out and do 2 weeks or a week of work experience just to keep current. And this particular factory, they took workplace health and safety really seriously. So they had this massive dust extraction system built into the wood side of the shop. And I'd actually worked in a cabinet maker that had no dust extraction at all. And they did a lot of MDF, and it just felt unsafe. It was unsafe. But anyway, at this other place, they had the massive steel tubing all over the roof of the shop, and a really powerful vacuum, like a cyclone system outside. And one of the workers there told me when they were commissioning the plant, they got the experts in and they had all of the ducting set up, and they had those automatic gates, but something malfunctioned. So they started up the cyclone and actually sucked all of the steel tubing completely flat. So they basically just locked the shop, went home, and it turned up the next day and strip it all out and do it all again.
Wow. There's always
I see a lot of
new way.
baghouse fires here in the wood shops. We'll be working in the paint department, but over in the wood mill, these guys, they run their own. They have their maintenance department run their own ventilation, and a lot of them get lazy. They run plastic pipe, nothing grounded, and then they're conveying, sawdust or wood flour through these pipes to a central location. No explosion venting, and you need metal pipe to do it. I mean, it needs to be grounded. And that's why even the flexible ones have the wire in there. You're supposed to ground that wire in the flexible hoses to keep your pipe grounded, because you can build up all kinds of static electricity when you're conveying the wood flour. And as a result, they get a spark over in the bag house, and the whole bag house will blow up and then catch on fire and just burn to the ground. So the wood mills are kind of dangerous if they don't know what they're doing with the ducting.
That's kind of like grain silos. Those suckers are dangerous.
Right, grain dust I hear is very explosive. Wood flour, and he said MDF. You know that stuff's dangerous.
Any
And
kind of flour is
almost
explosive.
any wood flour is dangerous.
Wheat
I
flour
believe,
is dangerous.
Custard powder is one of the worst. It's extremely fine and it's got a lot of sugar in it. So the sugar is like the carbohydrate that'll burn, and it can be aerated, made into like a dust, and it'll just explode and burn like petrol.
Yeah. Oh, there were flour mills back in the 1800s all over the place blew up just for making flour. So,
Oh yeah.
20 years ago, when I was still an apprentice out doing automotive, when I moved to Calgary, I wound up working at one of the shops there, GM shops. Some of the guys there used to work at this other one that a couple of years previous. What had happened was they were at the one GM dealer, they were storing a pile of their windshield washer antifreeze in the compressor room. And those bottles got warm and started venting off the alcohol. And sooner or later, it just blew the one wall right off the dealership, right off the shop. Like cinder block wall, blew it right out. So thankfully nobody got hurt. But yeah, that was 20 years ago. But yeah, it happens. People don't realize.
The other issue too is with like woodworking machinery. This is something I found out the hard way. But we had one of those belt disc sanders in the wood shop at school, and the belt was about 6 inches wide, and it was only to be used for wood. But one day I had one of these steel stakes that we used in the melt shop, and it had a couple of nicks and burrs in the top where the kids had got a hammer and just had a ding at it. And I thought, you know what, it'll just sit on the belt sander perfectly. And I took it in and the idea was just take the nicks out of the top of the stake. So I put it on there, and being like a high tensile steel, it created a lot of sparks. And had a look at it, it was fine, turned the machine off, walked away. About half an hour later, I had to go back in the wood shop, and I thought, I can smell smoke, like there's something burning in here. And what had happened was one of the sparks being sucked through by the dust extractor, and it lodged in the bottom of the machine where there was a big collector, and it was just smoldering. So I took the covers off, and you could see this big black scorch mark on the bed of sawdust that was there, and scraped it all out, got the fire out and so on. But if I hadn't seen that, probably it would have expanded, the fire would have increased, and I reckon if some kid had walked in and turned the dust extractor on, it would have just sucked all that flame into the dust extractor. So there you go. You don't use steel on a wood belt sander.
Yeah, I've got one of those cheap table saws that's got the bag that hangs under the blade to catch all the sawdust. And my youngest brother was here. We wanted to cut a piece of angle iron, and I didn't have anything else handy, so I just cranked up that saw. Had an old, carbide tip blade on it, so I didn't figure it'd be any loss if I messed it up. And I saw that angle iron just right, and when we got ready to go, I was starting to walk out of the garage. He says, "Hey," he says, "your saw's on fire." And it just burned the bottom right out of that bag that was, to catch all the stuff. Lucky he noticed, though.
Well, a lot of those use carbide blades for wood saws. They say you can cut nails with them. So I don't know what happens if you've got a dust extractor bag on your saw and you hit a nail. So you've got air and you've got a fuel, which is the wood dust, and you've got a spark. So, it could be exciting.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
That's it.
Exactly. I learned that the other day when I was trying to take the birdhouse down and remount it correctly. I've got a 6-foot ladder and I needed like an 8 or 10 foot. So I was standing on the very top of that stupid ladder. I lifted the birdhouse off of the pipe that was on, went over behind my head and kind of threw me off balance. And I grabbed this plastic pipe, and then the pipe went down, and I landed on my hands and knees on the ground. So I've been through a lot of pain pills and such.
Yeah.
Do not stand on or above this rung. You can lose your balance and fall, causing injury or death.
Exactly.
Okay.
I've
got that sticker memorized.
Well, I can swear to it.
And no one had a camera going.
It would have been good, I guess. I'm sure everybody got a good laugh at seeing the old geezer hit the dirt.
Yeah, you get plenty of views on that one.
I don't, you know that you can buy carbide tip blades for your skill saws, and I've seen plenty of nails get hit with a skill saw, and a lot of times, man, it pulls the nail right on out and throws the nail out.
Wow.
It doesn't come out nice either. So, you know, it doesn't just cut. It doesn't cut through so much as it grabs it and just rips the nail out and throws it. That's rather dangerous.
I got a saw cut in the concrete outside my workshop where I was sawing wood, and the blade guard hung up. It didn't sort of retract or didn't sort of come back and cover the blade. I just put the saw down in the concrete with the blade still spinning. That's still there.
Yep.
Takes off and
Yeah.
runs across the concrete.
Yeah, I had some carpenter buddies. The first thing they would do when they got a new saw was take that guard off. You know, they hated those guards.
Yeah.
You know, but they worked with them every day. But you know, it's still not a smart thing to do.
There's a lot of carpenters around like this.
Yeah.
Well,
Like
hey,
There's
you
a
talk
lot of
about-
machines like that.
Because those fingers are the ones that underneath the board when you're holding the board and then you're cutting with this hand. And so they're missing these two fingers because they had the guard folded back and things like that. And
when you talk about working them all day, a framing contractor, he brings one of his Hulk buddies in, no guards on any of their skill saws. This guy reaches up, cuts a 2x6 above him, kicks out, runs right down his chest.
Ooh.
The framing contractor, kind of a wild guy, he knows he's in trouble, so he takes the guy off the job, drives down the street, then calls 911. Thinking that's going to save his ass, but he's not on the
boy.
job site to get his chest.
Nobody he saved your ass by not
Yeah.
getting an OSHA visit.
Yeah. The next day I go out there and there's all new Mag 77s with guards on them. I go, where'd you get that? We've always had these. Yeah.
Yeah, they've been in my truck the whole time.
Pay no
Yeah, I
attention
got
to
a
the
quick
price
story-
tag hanging off the
story
cord.
about this.
yeah.
A quick story about this guy. So we're 1/8" plywood floor on TJIs, and I go out and they're supposed to be screwing the floor, and he's nailing it. I go, hey Sam, I said it's supposed to be screwing the floor. Where's the gun? So I just had them rebuilt. He goes, oh, they're in the shed. I go get one. He brings one out. He goes, these things are terrible, and he starts it and he pushes the screw down in there and screws it. Takes him like a minute, and I look at him and I go, give me that thing, Sam. I go, I think he's a muscle man. I go, I think you're just too damn strong. Of course, I feel for the trigger and I put it in forward. And I go, zing, zing,
They're going a lot better
zing,
that
zing.
way.
I hand it back to him and I put it back in reverse. He shoves a screw all the way back down again, smoke coming off it in reverse.
Hey, he's getting them in.
It's unbelievable how strong he is. Smoke coming off of it. And I finally look at him and I go, it's a drill motor if you got it in reverse. Oh, he was so embarrassed. Hey, quick question. Anybody, I got my precision stone cooking in my ultrasonic in a plastic bag and some Dawn dishwater soap. Anybody done ultrasonics to clean your stones, your precision
Why
stones?
are they in a plastic bag?
That way that I don't have to change the water out. It's all contained in there and I don't have to deal with
I
That's
just
cleaning
use,
out
I
the
just use
container.
simple green.
That's what I use. Yeah.
The oil
Yeah, but that's
floats
why
to
you
the
don't have
top.
to
You
clean
can
the
skim the oil
container
off.
Yeah.
Robin
That's what I do.
said he cleans them with ultrasonic all the time.
Yeah.
He just dumps them right in. I clean them with acetone. I wipe them down with acetone.
I use a water-based high pH degreaser
Mm-hmm.
in a spray bottle in the sink. It works fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, my question is, where can you get precision ground flat stones in Australia?
Off Shark River machine,
Oh, yeah.
like I had to.
Start making them.
Where did you get yours
Either
from?
start
Matt?
making them or Steve over there's got.
He's making
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
I
he's
ship
making
to
them.
Australia all the time.
Yes, Steve will
think
smell of
I bought
anywhere
one
in the
off Steve.
world.
Hang on, I didn't get that. Where can I get them in Australia?
I bought
From
mine off
Steve.
Steve from Shark River machine.
Oh, okay. Cool.
And
Yeah,
they're,
send
they're,
send
they're
an
really
email to
good
Steve
stones.
over there at Shark
Yeah.
River.
I
Really
don't know if
happy
you
with
could,
them.
Okay.
right now. I don't know if you can ship anything to Australia though.
Yeah,
I heard
I've
you
heard
there's
that.
something going
Yeah.
on.
No, it's
You-
because we shut our
US
borders and there's no international flights
Right.
coming from the USA.
You can't even send mail down there. Yeah.
I have got some mail from the USA. I think it depends which state it's coming from.
Oh,
But other people have said they tried to send me packages and they got returned. But
Yeah.
allegedly, our borders open next month, and we'll have international flights coming back to Australia. So maybe that's, like the air freight comes on the passenger aircraft as well.
I've never had a problem shipping to Australia, but I haven't sent anything probably in 2 months.
Okay.
So it's possible that there's a.
I just shipped to New Zealand, no problems there.
Okay.
but Australia's being tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
It
Mark.
is.
Mark.
Yeah.
John Chrissy says I think he can make the stones for you.
Oh, yeah?
Well,
All
he
right.
made a comment there.
Okay. I didn't catch that.
Yeah, John's
Yeah.
got a surface grinder, doesn't he?
I guess so.
I think so.
Yeah.
I do know someone who's got a surface grinder, but they said you've got to be able to run coolant to
Well,
be
you
able
got
to do it.
coolant and diamond stone and
Yeah.
diamond.
There's a little bit of a learning curve on it. You don't want to try and do it the first time for somebody else.
Hmm.
I had a very good mentor, and like I say, Robin Renzetti was kind of my mentor when I got started. And I probably ground up close to a dozen sets before I started doing anything for sale.
Well, I like the ones you sent me. I really like them.
Yeah, they turn out good. I've done almost 200 pair of them now, I think.
Yeah, I just got a set from Steve the other day, and I haven't had a chance to use them yet.
Yeah, I have a set from Steve. I use it all the time.
Yeah, Keith Rucker mentioned me on one of his recent videos, and I got a little bit of a boost in business from that. So,
I guess so.
yeah.
Get Adam Booth to say something. Raise the price to double.
You know, Adam actually got one of the early sets that I did. They were, it's a long story, but they were actually donated by another viewer. He asked me to grind them, and then he asked me to ship them to Adam Booth. And so the first set that Adam had was from me, but his buddy Lance Balsey also does them. So he gets all the press.
Well, I know the first time he showed one of those Eagle 66 oil cans on his channel, that the price on them doubled and tripled on eBay.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, if you can even find one, you're right.
Yeah. I waited about 3 years before I bought one. Price came back down.
That's why Matty just made his own.
Yep.
It's a nice
Just
little
on
unit.
another topic, just wondering if any of you guys are left-handers. The reason I ask is that I had a head of department who was a left-hander, and he had a really serious accident with a circular saw. And he said that, like all power tools are designed for right-handed people.
Yeah.
So even something like an electric drill, the way the switch is set up, it's meant to be operated with your right hand. If you're a left-hander and you grip it the other way, if the drill catches and it starts to rotate, you can't let go of it. So your finger is locked to the trigger. And he said he had a serious accident with his wrist. Really broke his wrist because the drill jammed up. And then this accident with the saw was a similar thing. It was just because of the ergonomics and the way that you hold it. Mm-hmm. And I don't know whether left-handers have real issues with power tools or even just hand tools for that matter. And you think about the number of tools that are designed to be operated by right-handed people only. So I don't know whether there's a market out there for left-handed tools.
I think we need some left-handed crescent wrenches. People are going to laugh at that, but when you hold a crescent wrench in your right and you're using your thumb, you're used to pushing that wheel a certain way.
Yeah.
When you hold it in your left, you're going to be pushing that wheel the opposite way. So the worm needs to be cut opposite for a lefty.
I tease Chris. Go ahead.
Oh, I just say I think there's somebody who makes a left-handed circular saw. So
Yeah,
the
the
blades
old
on
Black
the,
and Deckers where they put the blade on the wrong side.
the blades. Yeah.
Remember those?
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. But I still think somebody makes one that way. So.
Oh, okay.
I've actually got one of those left-handed crescent wrenches.
Yeah.
I've got two of them. They're the same size. They're only small, probably only 4 inches long. But when I got it, it belonged to my father-in-law, who was an aircraft mechanic. And you go to use it, and you think, why is it opening? I'm trying to close it. But yeah, it's the mirror image of a normal crescent wrench.
It's probably metric
And it's
also.
something you don't even think about.
Yeah.
It's something you don't even think about until you pick it up and just out of habit, you turn that worm and you're like, why is that opening? Or why is that closing? It's just backwards, you know?
I have to think about it no matter what hand I put it in. Every single time.
I try not to use those kind of wrenches because they're really good at rounding off all the flats on your nuts. You know? I think that's what they're made for. They're to round off nuts.
All right, I'm going to throw out a question. So, black oxide finish versus chrome finish. What's your preference?
Black oxide.
I like the
oxide.
satin finish. I like them right in between.
All right, Stan.
Whatever they are when they come out of the auction box and the toolbox and miscellaneous tools included.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I prefer the black.
Black. Yeah.
But yeah, if you've ever got the peeling off chrome sliver in your hand, you'll go back to
that's painful.
Yeah.
You guys want to see my yard sale wrench I got I think last weekend?
Yeah.
Sure.
I'll go get it.
Yeah. I bet it's that big, you know.
Yeah.
When I worked in the Even Polluting Refinery, we had a 48-inch pipe wrench that we used a lot.
Wow.
Yeah. You put that on Instagram or something. I saw that. Yeah.
This is
Yeah. Nice wrench.
a 3 and a 2 3/4
So that's basically an
combo.
ignition.
It's an old Williams.
Yeah.
Nice.
Some lady had it at a yard sale with $5 on it.
Oh man.
Some of our older ships,
It
we
has
used to have a whole set of those.
Purpose. I just had to have it.
I was to say, so that's an ignition.
Just think of the
wrench off an
toolbox
oil
that was
tanker.
in.
It doesn't fit in any of my toolboxes.
We had a whole set of those on the ships, all made by Williams.
Where is he?
Randy, what was the biggest wrench you had
that
on
big
the
one
ship?
that Ray's got that's got everybody's signature on it. I think that's a 4.5, and that came from Hoover Dam.
Oh, wow.
We had them up to 3 inches, Chuck. We had some of the old ships. We had whole sets of those kind of wrench, Williams wrenches like that.
Yeah, that's a Williams. It's a nice wrench. It's not. I mean, how often do you really use that thing?
You
Yeah,
need
but
two
we had them
guys to
hanging
carry it over
on
to
a
the boat.
tool board, and that's where they stayed for 50
I'm gonna hang
years.
it behind the Monarch.
Well, if you're going to take the belly cap off the tank car, you need 48 inches and up in your pipe wrench, you know? 'Cause those suckers are really big, you know, they're like maybe 6 to 8 inches and they're rusty, cruddied up threads. And
One time, Harold, one of the guys, we needed to free up these capstan heads. They were all froze up. And a capstan head, and this thing, they're like 14, 15, 16 inches in diameter.
yeah,
And so one of the guys ordered a 8-foot chain wrench from Rigid.
yeah.
It came in a crate. It weighed like 300 pounds or something. It was ridiculous. It took 6 guys to pick it up and put it in place to use it, but it worked.
That's what
That
counts.
didn't put a
wrench is
cheater
gonna
on it.
That wrench will separate the men from the boys right there.
I tell you, it
That's
was
serious.
something.
And you probably still put a pipe on the end of it to get more leverage.
No, they didn't. They didn't put a cheater on it. They said they hooked probably a winch to it, pulled on it.
It was a regular wrench, or you said it was a chain wrench?
Chain wrench.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The chain weighed as much as the handle.
Yeah, I bet.
Wow.
I've got one of those chain wrenches. It's about 4 feet long. It's pretty heavy.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Well, guys, our hour is over. We're going to have to end the broadcast. I appreciate all you fellas showing up. I appreciate all our viewers watching. And you guys come back next Sunday for more of the same or maybe something different.
Thanks for
All
tuning
right.
in,
Talk
everybody.
about more
Thank
catastrophes
you.
and explosions.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Harold.
Good
All
night.
right, let's